The trend of swimming in cold water for health benefits is doggy paddling its way into the public zeitgeist. But what if you absolutely had to live in freezing waters in order to survive? The crocodile icefish lives up to its name by living down in the depths of the Antarctic Southern Ocean. But how does a cold-blooded fish not turn into a popsicle at such extreme temperatures? Well, it's all in their blood, and sometimes you just need a lot of it to survive here in life, death, and taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal information. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube or Spotify.
And thank you to Johanna for the creation of this week's artwork. To check that out, you can visit us at our home on the web at lttaxonomy.com. And a very special thank you to our patrons, to Jesse Raspolich, Carol Raspolich, and Richard Kaspar. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on.
And today we're talking about an ice-cold krill killer, but more on that later.
Krilla Killer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This one is, I occasionally get articles on my Google News feed of interesting animals, or like new animals, and this is not new, but it is interesting, so that's where I got this idea from. This idea, like I invented the fish. The idea to do the episode on it. What are we? And also, I love the name of this fish. It's the how a Pokemon would be described. There's like, oh, it's Pikachu, the mouse Pokemon, or like the electric whale Pokemon or something like that. This is right up that alley.
This is the Crocodile Icefish.
Yep. It's the Crocodile Icefish Pokemon. No, yeah, it's Crocodile Icefish. That's... What is it? 3 Batman villains put together? There isn't a fish. There's the Penguin, I guess. There's at least 2 Batman villains in there.
What is a penguin if not an ice fish?
If not a fish, right? It likes fish in the ice.
That's true.
It's also called the pike icefish, or the northern icefish, but man, why would you use either of those two when you can say crocodile icefish instead?
The pike icefish and the northern icefish is the particular species of icefish. The crocodile icefish is the whole family that this is in.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're gonna call it here Crocodile Ice. Ice baby. And Val Krillmer. Because he's the Iceman.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I'm seeing in this Wikipedia article just now that there in 1862 there was an American ichthyologist named Theodore Nicholas Gill.
Oh my gosh.
That's like, didn't somebody named Webb direct one of the Spider-Man movies? And the Amazing Spider-Man?
Did they? Oh, there's like
Reproduce.
Oh man, I'll never remember it now that I'm on the spot. But it was another thing I was just telling Bibby about. I was like, do you think if you have that name, like, you can do anything else? Because it was just like a perfect matchup.
Mark Webb.
Mark
directed
Webb.
The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yep. That's appropriate. But if your last name is Gill, it's like, can you study any other animal but fish? You can, because
crustaceans.
Yeah, crustaceans have it. Axolotls have gills.
Yeah, you can
cephalopods.
study amphibians, but only for the first half of their lives.
Yeah, and then you're out.
Only for the first half of your career.
And then as soon as that tadpole like jumps onto land, you're like a sheriff of the county line. You throw your hat down and stamp on it. Like, darn it, this is outside of my realm of expertise. I only deal with gills. Dadgum.
Okie dokie. Would you like to hear what science has to say about this?
Yeah.
It's in the kingdom you know, love, and are in the kingdom Animalia. It's in the phylum Chordata. The class is Actinopterygii. The order is Passeriformes, which means it's from the Pacific Ocean. Just kidding. It doesn't mean that.
It's Persiformes.
It's ray-finned fish. Persiformes. That's true. It's brought us fire.
Wait. That's Prometheus.
Yeah, I was thinking of Perseus for some reason. What did Perseus do? He was like a
ship, right? No, that's Theseus.
Perseus isn't. Yeah, Perseus is like a hero, not a. Maybe he's a demigod. It doesn't matter, because the family is. Oh boy, oh no! I think what are there 3 N's in a row? Chanichthyeidae. Chanichthyeidae. It's quite a word.
Yeah.
CHTH in a row.
Yeah,
that's fun.
That one threw me for a loop when I was trying to type it out, because I type out all of these in the taxonomy section of the notes. So Chanichthyeidae. Channing Tatum.
And then the genus is it Campsocephalus? Or is it Champsocephalus?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think if this is Chanichthyeidae, this is.
You said Chanichthyeidae, but I imagine it's probably a hard CH. Like character.
Champsocephalus or Campsocephalus. The species is Esox. Campsocephalus esox. Esox fables.
I was thinking more of like socks for my Sims character.
You got to buy a couple of Esox.
You got to get some Esox. I sent you an email with some Esox. Yeah, Campsocephalus. But then like hippocampus or something like that. That's just CAMP. There's no H there. Latin. This brings me to my growing favorite part of the show. Nitty-gritty nomenclature. The part of the show where I ask you, Joe, a question. What is the English translation for the binomial nomenclature of this animal? Campsocephalus esox. What does it mean? Does it mean A, crocodile-headed salmon, B, cold head fins, C, strong-headed carp, or D, ray-finned jawhead?
Ray-finned jawhead, final answer.
That is incorrect. It is not a marine. It's not a jarhead. A British jarhead, a jawhead. It's a crocodile-headed salmon. That's what this is. What this means. Champso is crocodile, and then obviously I knew you were gonna get cephalus, so everything had to have head in there. But esox is salmon.
Interesting.
Salmon. Even though this is decidedly not a salmon, not a salmon.
That's true. It sure ain't. Would you like me to describe it to you?
Sure.
The family members that are all called crocodile icefish come in several shapes and sizes, but generally have a long torpedo-shaped body, fins that run the length of their back, and then the back half of their underbelly. Long snouts, a strong head, you might say, with large crocodile-style mouths. They have big eyes. No beady little trailer park eyes. Big saucers.
Trailer Park Eyes. Which is funny because when I think of the Trailer Park Boys, that show, one of the characters has giant eyes.
They can also be striped for pattern disruption.
Same.
But that brings me to what its relative size is in relatable terms. So, welcome to the Beloved Measure Up segment, the official listener's favorite part of the show. The part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's also part of the show that's interested by you when you send in audio of yourself saying, singing, or making fish sounds. The words measure up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We don't have a new measure up intro this week. But that means we get to hear from a fish and Carlos has to guess who it is.
You gonna do another Shark Tale thing? You gonna give me a Will Smith?
No.
You have a lot to choose from here, so it's a little...
Yes.
When you said ant that one time, I was like, well, there's really only so much material to pull from, but there's a lot of talking fish.
Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Slamming right into my private quarters. Come about and stand by for action, you four-eyed flounder.
Say, you're talking to me.
You bet your binnacle I'm talking to you, matey.
Is that Jerry Seinfeld's voice I hear?
No, that's Don Knotts.
No, the other guy. That's
Don Knotts.
Oh, that's...
Yeah, that's the other guy. So that's the fish. The other one is a crab. The one who's a little bit more aggressive.
I don't think I've seen this movie.
I don't think so either. I'll be surprised if you get it.
Yeah, I don't even have a reference for it. So what is it?
The Incredible Mr. Limpet.
Nope, never heard of it.
It's a Warner Brothers era. It's a Warner Brothers movie in the era of Mary Poppins, where it was a mix of live action and cartoons. So this man, real Don Knotts, live action Don Knotts, loves fish and wishes to become one, and then magic ensues and he becomes an animated fish.
So it's like Space Jam, Roger Rabbit kind of stuff.
But I think when he's in the fish world, it's all animated. But then, yeah, there's some
So it's kind of more of like a Song of the South, where it kind of blends it, but eventually you spend a lot of time in totally animated world.
Yes. It's exactly like Song of the South in every way.
Beat for beat, exactly like Song of the South. The movie that everybody knows and loves.
Let's talk about length. They're 35 centimeters or 14 inches. Good fish size.
This is a good fish size. Not
if
too
you
big,
said
not too
what
small.
is, how big is a fish? What is the size of a fish? And you're like, what kind of fish? No, just a fish. You'd say 14 inches.
2 inches over a foot. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So how many crocodile icefish go into the outer ring of the fortifications at Verdun?
Verdun.
Here's a hint. The forts at Verdun had begun to modernize with sand bufferings and steel reinforced concrete in 1880. In the Battle of Verdun, the ring of fortifications had 79 guns in shell-proof turrets and more than 200 light guns.
The height of the fortress?
So there's a ring of fortifications, the outer ring. You're looking for
the length,
the length of the outer ring.
Man, I don't know this.
It's a battle in World War One.
Yeah,
I'm not particularly bloody battle.
I have not done my research on World War One yet, although I plan to. I will say 70 miles. If it's a whole ring of fortifications around a city-ish thing. And I have Remember the Titans to thank for the fact that I do remember the Titans. And I also remember how many feet are in a mile. I can
I,
al-
I've,
always
while
pull
you're
that one up.
thinking, I've been seeing this thing going around the internet, this video of Pee-wee's Playhouse, I guess. And Pee-wee Herman, like, he gets bonked in the head, and he's like, dazed, and a bunch of cowboys are surrounding him, and they're like, Can you tell me what year it is? And he's like, I don't remember. And he's like, can you tell me what your name is? And he's like, I don't remember. And they're like, what do you remember? And he's like, the Alamo. And they're all like, yeah. And that got me pretty good. I'm like, wow, I don't remember Pee-wee's Playhouse having the good jokes.
I have never seen anything from Pee Wee Herman. Although it's just been mentioned a lot. It's one of those like cultural touchstones that I just have not only not seen but have no interest in seeing. So it just looks like a really goofy Mr. Bean that's even more for kids. So I don't know. Anyway, my answer is 315,000 icefish go into the fortifications ever done.
The correct answer is 126,720 fish.
No.
The outer
Small
ring
fortifications
was 28 miles or 45 kilometers.
See, I'm still thinking in like World War II terms, where it's like, oh, we just fortified the entire coastline of continental Europe, 2,000 miles of it.
Remember when we were talking about the longest trench in World War I? It was like 2 miles or something like that.
Yeah, I'm still not in. I haven't. I'm. My mind is on like the big industrial endeavors of World War II rather than the slog of World War I.
Well, let's talk about depths. They live between 50 and 250 meters, or 160 to 820 feet. How many depths of the M1 helmet go into the living depth of the crocodile icefish? Do you know what the M1 helmet is?
Is it that helmet that the Austro-Hungarians wore with the little pike on top of it?
No, how dare you say that? It's World War II.
Okay.
It's the U.S. helmet in World War II.
Oh yeah, that is pretty. That was a pretty big punt for me then.
Here's a hint, and this is a doozy. The M1 helmet was the standard issue American helmet for ground troops in World War II, all the way to its retirement in 1885. The need for helmets was first realized in World War I when bonk injuries increased rapidly because of shrapnel and debris flying into trenches during bombardment. So the U.S. first developed the U.S. showed up to World War I without helmets, and they got they were issued helmets from the British and French, whoever they were fighting with, and then they started to like, let's maybe make our own. So then the U.S. first developed the M1917, but it was poorly balanced and lacked protection from bullets coming at you at the normal lateral direction. Before the U.S. entered World War II, they decided to get their helmets in order. Brigadier General Courtney Hodges oversaw the development of a new helmet without a brim and more neck protection and a visor. They also added a suspension system in the style of football helmets at the time. During testing, the helmet resisted a point-blank shot from a .45 caliber pistol. I cut out parts of that hint because it was getting too long, where like in World War I, they took the original helmet back to the drawing board and they made some changes and they did some testing. And they're like, okay, now it can withstand some gunfire from the front and behind and laterally, but now it breaks when stuff hits you on the top of the head, which is what we originally made it for. And then they scrapped that design.
Yeah, but you're not in trenches anymore.
No, this was still in World War I.
Oh. Let's say it's about 8 inches. Seems to be about right. For a helmet. I'm going to say 1,200. Helmet depths go into the depth of the max depth of this fish. Crocodile icefish.
Final answer?
Yep.
The correct answer is 1,400.
That, I believe, is a nursing school victory.
The M1 has a depth of 7 inches or 180 millimeters.
85%.
See, if you forget about the suspension system in helmets, you'd be like, oh, it's like a 4-inch depth. It's like a hat.
But it goes down over your ears and all that stuff. I just watched How Accurate Was Saving Private Ryan video, and so I was watching a lot of very historically accurate U.S. helmets in World War II. So I had a good frame of reference. But in that movie, helmets did not do all that much against direct fire.
I don't think it could take a rifle. But like, well, there's the one scene where like it pinged off of his helmet, then he took it off. He took it off to look at it, and then it hit him in the head.
But like right as soon as they open up those amphibious boats, and the machine guns are just cutting right through. A lot of it, like some of the guys are shot through the helmet, and it's like, oh.
Which is probably accurate.
Yeah, I mean it is a machine
like
gun.
Rifles and machine guns could, don't really matter.
I do like the idea of the U.S. finally gets into World War I and it sends all its troops over there wearing just cowboy hats, and then the British are like, "You're gonna need one of these," and hands them an actual helmet. Why?
Because you get bonkies. You get bonkies in the trenches.
You get jolly bonkies in the trenches. You want a jammy dodger? A Tim Tam for your bonkies.
To be fair, I think they knew they were going to need helmets. They just didn't have the war machine producing them at the time. They needed to spin up.
They didn't have Don Cheadle in there just hammering out helmets exclusively for the entire U.S. Army.
Yeah. That's all I got for that. Would you like to hear some fast facts about the crocodile fish?
Sure.
The crocodile fish lives in the Arctic and Southern Oceans. So the top and the bottom of the world. Only our friend the pike icefish is found north of the Antarctic polar frontal zone at the bottom half of the world. There are 16 species of crocodile icefish. They are what's called demersal species, which means they like to hang out on the ocean floor. Icefish mostly fish. It's true.
They mostly fish.
Icefish mostly eat fish, but they can also feed on krill, which I made the intro hoping that was true and found it was, that they eat krill. They are krill killers. They hunt as ambush predators. Yeah. They do ambush predation, remaining still and attacking suddenly. This feeding style makes them less active than stalkers, which means they can survive with long periods between munches, and nobody takes out a restraining order. When they do eat, they consume fish up to half of their body length.
Gross.
Pretty standard fare for an ambush predator, right? I'm going to wait here. I'm going to conserve energy. I'm going to eat rarely, but I'm going to eat a lot when I do.
Yeah, I'm going to eat something half my body length, and then I will do that again next month.
But that's all I got. Do you have any interesting facts beyond the fact that it eats a lot?
Yeah, I'm going to call this major fact Arctic Android. So, one thing we know about cold-blooded animals is that temperature matters. But the crocodile icefish is found, like you said, at as deep as 820 feet around the waters of the Southern Ocean near Antarctica. So it gets the temperature can get as low as 28 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas, which I was looking at that. I was like, that's not that cold. It gets to be like negative 35 in Minnesota. What are we talking about here? But for water that is not frozen, that's very cold. And so that sounds like a recipe for Mrs. Paul's crispy battered frozen fish sticks, not a thriving population of still alive, not fish sticks fish. So how does a fish survive in the depths of the Antarctic? And the answer is that it actually has to be in the depths of the Antarctic, near freezing or past the point of freezing temperature water in order to be down there. It bleeds white like a Weyland-Yutani android. It has white blood. If you've seen the Alien series, Ash and Bishop, they have white blood. And so does the crocodile icefish. The blood of all... it's actually colorless. So it's whitish, clearish. The blood of all icefish is just colorless because it doesn't have any hemoglobin. Which, hemoglobin is the protein that... And great, I picked this one. I didn't realize it was a blood-focused episode. But here we are. So hemoglobin is the protein in your blood that binds to oxygen, which allows your red blood cells to carry oxygen from your lungs to the various muscles throughout your body, including your heart and brain. So in the icefish, though, the red blood cells are usually absent, and even if there are some there, it's only because they have a defunct gene that still exists in their genetic makeup that no longer functions and can possibly produce some useless hemoglobin cells or hemoglobin protein, or sorry, red blood cells that don't have hemoglobin. So how does the icefish get oxygen to all its important bits? Because it still needs that stuff. It's crucial to have oxygen if you are a living thing, unless I guess you're a tardigrade, in which case you just need like a molecule of it for the next like 30 years. Without the normal tools like hemoglobin and red blood cells to move oxygen throughout the body, icefish have a low metabolic rate and only carry about 10% of the oxygen that related fish with their fancy schmancy hemoglobin can carry. They still have gills, but oxygen is absorbed straight from the water into their plasma. And one of the principles of fluid and gas dynamics is that gas is more soluble in colder water than it is in warmer water. The lower the temperature gets, the more soluble the gas gets. So oxygen can pass through membranes more easily in colder water, which is exactly why the icefish is where it is. And also, this is why Arctic and Antarctic waters are oxygen rich. So animals like krill that thrive in oxygen-rich environments tend to congregate here, and then the things that eat the krill tend to congregate there as well. And that's how it's the circle of life. Icefish also have larger blood vessels, larger hearts, and also 4 times as much blood as other fish. So they also don't have scales. So, and researchers originally thought that they did most of their oxygen absorption directly through the skin because they don't have scales. They are CIF the scaleless, crocodile icefish, CIF the scaleless. But though they actually absorb most of their oxygen through the gills, but they can't absorb through their body. And it goes directly into their bloodstream and into the muscles in the heart without the efficiency of hemoglobin. that the rest of, I guess, chordata gets to enjoy. And researchers theorize that since you need iron to manufacture hemoglobin, and iron can be hard to find in the open ocean, let alone in the vast and mostly empty. Well, like it's not mostly. Well, yeah, it's the ocean. It's mostly empty. Of the Arctic or Antarctic, and iron can be hard to come by. The ice fish adapted to go without it, and it puts them just in a different zone. It allows them to live in places where most other fish cannot. So it doesn't have red blood cells or hemoglobin, though oxygen just goes straight to its muscles and all of its blood. There's just so much of it.
Breaking the rules to live where you shouldn't.
Gallons of the stuff. But yeah, that is the superpower of the crocodile icefish. What is the X-Men ice guy's name? Is it Iceman too?
It's Iceman.
It's Iceman? Nah. What a terrible name for a superhero.
What do you mean? He's a man made of ice.
I know. It's just like, that was a grueling like creative session there.
What about Spider-Man? A man with spider powers and Spider-Man. Batman.
Yeah, but at least you don't like look at him and you're like, oh, Spider-Man, I get it. Like you see Iceman, he's like, oh, okay, it's a little more on the nose.
You would have rather like the other guy, Pyro.
No, I don't like that one either.
Well, there you go. It could have been Fireman.
I like Phoenix is good. Magneto is really good.
They would have called him Fireman, but they already knew that was somebody who puts out fires.
Yeah, so this guy makes them, and we're just gonna get really confused.
Should have called him Waterman.
It's the same. They should be called Waterman. I guess so. I mean, I guess they're called firefighters, aren't they?
Yeah. Now.
So that makes a lot more sense when you put it that way.
Because it sounds better than fire person.
And yeah, and they fight fires. They do not make there's no ambiguity there. If you have a fireman, then it's like, does he make the fires or does he put them out? Firefighter is like, okay, I get it. He puts them out. He is a waterman. I already know he's a waterman by dint of being a firefighter. A hottie copper, if you're from Australia. Anyway, I mean, Frozone. Come on, that's Iceman. Like, Frozone's a cool name for someone who does ice things. Anyway, that was the crocodile icefish. Do you got anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, for you out there in podcast, yeah. Like Foreigner, be as cold as ice. Like the ice fish. You're in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, I just want to remind you that we now have a Patreon. Patrons can see full video episodes and get shoutouts on the show. But ultimately, it's a way for you to help us cover some costs and get even better. Still, reviews are the best way to help us grow. So if you haven't left one yet, we'd really love to hear from you. As always, thanks for listening and engaging.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
It really is, right? Well, because that water is colder than ice.
It is.
Well, ice can be extremely cold if you want it to be.
Yeah, I guess there's no... I mean, there is a limit to how cold ice can be.
Absolute zero.
which is absolute zero. Yeah.